The F-47 may be the most important fighter program in the world, not because we know exactly what it can do, but because the U.S. Air Force believes it needs an entirely new kind of air dominance system to survive the next major war. The F-22 is elite, but there aren't enough of them. The F-35 is critical, but it was never built to replace the F-22. Pacific distances and Chinese air defenses are rewriting the requirements for what a fighter actually needs to do. So the Air Force is betting on the F-47. The central question is simple. Why does the U.S. think it needs this aircraft? And can the program actually deliver? In March 2025, the Air Force awarded Boeing the engineering and manufacturing development contract for the F-47. Officially described as the world's first sixth-generation fighter. That contract is valued at more than $20 billion. Technology demonstrators had already been flying since around 2020, so this is not a clean sheet start. The F-47 is designated as the successor to the F-22 in the dedicated air dominance role. Worth noting, Boeing won this contract over Lockheed Martin, the company that built both the F-22 and the F-35. That is a deliberate rebalancing of the defense industrial base, and it puts real pressure on Boeing to execute. The mistake, though, is to think of the F-47 as just an aircraft. The Air Force is selling it as the central node of a larger combat system, one that includes drone wingmen, advanced networking, and a new way of fighting. To understand why that matters, you have to understand the F-22 problem. The Raptor remains one of the most capable air-to-air fighters ever built. Its radar can simultaneously track more than 100 targets. Recent upgrades have added next-generation missile integration and data link connectivity with F-35 fleets. The problem is not performance, it is numbers. The F-22 fleet sits at roughly 180 to 190 aircraft, with the production line closed for years. The original planned buy was 750. That was cut to 187. And that strategically undersized force is now expected to anchor U.S. air superiority against a near-peer adversary. The F-22 was designed to dominate advanced fighters. The F-47 is being designed to dominate an entire contested battle space. The specific battle space in question is the Indo-Pacific, and the distances involved are not abstract. A round trip from Guam to the Taiwan Strait covers roughly 3,000 miles. That is comparable to flying from New York to London and back. The F-22's unclassified combat radius is approximately 500 nautical miles. Without aerial refueling, that math simply does not work. And here's the problem with depending on tankers. In a conflict with China, those refueling aircraft become high-value targets within range of long-range Chinese missiles. China's J-20 fleet now exceeds 200 airframes, armed with missiles that can engage targets beyond 200 kilometers. Beijing's integrated air defense network is layered, sophisticated, and designed to deny access to exactly the airspace the U.S. would need to operate in. In that environment, range is not a luxury feature. It is central to survivability and relevance. So what do we actually know about the F-47? The Air Force has publicly cited a combat radius greater than 1,000 nautical miles, significantly longer than any current fifth-generation fighter. Speed is confirmed at above Mach 2. The intended buy is 185-plus aircraft, and the FY 2026 budget request included approximately $3.5 billion for research and development. Manufacturing of the first aircraft reportedly began in late 2025. First flight is publicly targeted for 2028, with operational status around 2029 and broader force fielding into the early to mid-2030s. The Air Force has also stated the F-47 will cost less per unit than the F-22 and require fewer personnel and less infrastructure to deploy. Beyond that, much of the interesting detail remains classified, and anything more specific should be treated cautiously. What likely makes the F-47 genuinely sixth generation is best understood as a set of design priorities, not guaranteed technical facts. Greater unrefueled range, improved stealth suited to modern radar developments, better thermal and power management, which matters for electronic warfare output and potentially directed energy systems, network-centric sensor fusion, and open mission systems architecture that allows rapid software updates in the field. But the piece that may ultimately matter as much as the airframe itself is the drone teaming concept. The Air Force envisions roughly 1,000 collaborative combat aircraft, or CCAs, paired with approximately 200 NGAD platforms. At an estimated $20 to $30 million per drone versus over $100 million for a crewed platform, the economics of distributing risk are compelling. Those drones can carry sensors, jammers, decoys, and weapons. They absorb forward risk so pilots don't have to. The F-47 may be less important as a lone dogfighter than as the command brain of a distributed combat package. That said, critics have serious questions, and they deserve straight answers. Can the Air Force afford 185-plus airframes at sixth-generation price points without hollowing out the rest of the budget? Will Boeing execute cleanly, given its recent history of struggles on complex fixed-price contracts? And here is a specific warning worth taking seriously. The F-22's per-unit cost ballooned precisely because the original 750 aircraft buy was cut to 187. If the F-47 buy is similarly truncated under budget pressure, the same cost spiral could repeat, which means that 185-plus commitment is itself a strategic variable, not a settled number. Does a crewed air dominance fighter still make sense in an era of long-range missiles and drone saturation? And perhaps most critically, will the wider ecosystem, dispersed bases, survivable tankers, command and control architecture, munition stocks, and the CCA fleet itself all be ready in time to make the F-47's capabilities coherent? In August 2025, the Air Force established a direct reporting portfolio manager to oversee the F-47 alongside the B-21 Raider and the Sentinel ICBM, a signal that leadership is treating these as interconnected strategic bets requiring coordinated management. Despite those questions, the Air Force studied the alternatives and came back to this program. The conclusion? No other viable path exists for maintaining credible, penetrating air superiority against a peer adversary in a contested Pacific environment. A manned platform is still considered essential for the complex, time-sensitive decision-making that command of a distributed formation requires. And air superiority underwrites everything else. Without it, ground forces, naval forces, and logistics chains all become more exposed. China's potential sixth-generation programs, the J-36 and J-50, suggest this is not a unilateral U.S. technology leap. It is a competitive race on overlapping timelines. If the Air Force is right, then the F-47 is not a luxury program. It is the price of remaining credible in the next high-end fight. The F-47 is probably best understood not as a miracle fighter, but as an attempt to solve a very real problem: how to sustain air dominance when distance, defenses, and drone warfare are all getting worse at the same time. The concept makes strategic sense. The real uncertainty is whether the United States can field it in meaningful numbers, at meaningful speed, before the window starts to close. If the F-47 is the future spear point of air dominance, the F-35 is the aircraft carrying the burden right now. And unlike the F-47, that debate is no longer theoretical. If you want to understand the aircraft actually fighting today's air dominance problem, subscribe and we'll break down the F-35 next.